You know, ladies and gentlemen, I watched bits and pieces of Impact last week. Most importantly, I watched the ending, and I have to say Impact did a pretty good job. But I don't think I don't think anybody was really fooled into knowing who that mystery partner was going to be. I mean, as soon as Kurt Angle and Sting announced they had a mystery partner, I'm pretty sure a lot of us had a feeling it was going to be Abyss. I mean, when you think about it, Kurt was already hinting at trying to get AJ to be the third man. Well, we knew as soon as Kurt probably said that, it wasn't going to happen. And as soon as we thought, okay, they're going to choose Magnus, that didn't happen. Because when you had a feeling, as soon as they announced Magnus was going to be the partner, he'd get taken out by Aces and Eights. So you're probably wondering, not wondering, but pretty much after all that, pretty much everybody knew who the mystery partner was going to be. Now, some people might play it off and say, oh, we didn't really know. But the truth is, we pretty much did. I mean, yeah, they could have thrown us a twist and say, oh, here comes the King of the Mountain. Which I don't think would have been just like that. You have OTR Central very happy. But still, we had Abyss. And here's what was interesting about Abyss. We haven't, according to what they said, we hadn't seen him in about a year. Which is probably true, maybe less than that. Now, as soon as I knew it was, as soon as I had a feeling, because I even said this to myself, and I didn't even watch Impact the previous week. I said, when I read the results and everything, I said, it's going to be Abyss. I read they're going to have a mystery partner, I said, it's got to be Abyss. I mean, because basically, here's the thing. Well, almost 1 year, we're going on 1 year of Aces and Eights being around. And usually with TNA, after a year or so, a faction has to come to an end some way or another. Now, if they continue on with Aces and Eights, it's going to be a surprise. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that I think they kind of extended something. It wouldn't be the first time. But to me, usually nowadays in wrestling, a faction doesn't last very long. Nowadays it doesn't. Doesn't matter if it's WWE or TNA or Ring of Honor, it doesn't last very long. I mean, you might say, well, look at Scum. They've lasted long. Yeah, they lasted long for a few years because it was just for like 1 year or so, over a year, because it was just 3 of them, and that worked. But the thing is now they've got a whole group of guys, and it looks like they're not even going to be focusing. It looks like, from what I can tell, maybe I'm wrong, it looks like Scum's slowly dying off. It's like they're not really getting behind that anymore. They want to get behind other stuff. But the point is, I'm trying to make is factions usually don't last but a year, maybe a year and a half nowadays. And I'm just saying if Aces and Eights does last beyond Slammiversary, then Bound for Glory has got to be the payoff. Now, a lot of people are pretty much assuming that the Bound for Glory main event, or one of the main events of Bound for Glory, is going to be Hogan and Bully Ray. And a lot of people are pretty much fearing that it's going to be for the world title. After what happened this past Thursday on Impact, I don't think that's going to be the case. Because whether or not Aces and Eights continues on up until Bound for Glory in October, or not, as soon as or not, I guarantee you we're going to get another, out of this whole situation, we're going to get another Abyss versus Bully Ray match. I guarantee it. Now you might say, well, what match are we going to get? We've already had hardcore style matches, Monsters Ball and all that. What's next? Well, there's one match that they haven't had in quite some time, and I'll give TNA credit for this because this is a match they only do on rare occasions, especially if something's really building up and needs to come to an end. And what I'm talking about is the Barbed Wire Massacre. That's right. Abyss returning and coming back on occasions because they say this is going to, because the report is this whole Joseph Parker Abyss thing is going to be played out over time, and it's got a purpose. Well, to me, that purpose is leading towards Bound for Glory, and it's leading to Abyss versus Bully Ray, Barbed Wire Massacre 3. That's what it's leading towards. Now you might say, that's not going to happen. Oh yeah, it will. It will happen, or something like that's going to happen. And I'm betting on anything, it's got to be Barbed Wire Massacre. Because think about it. Think about it this way. You don't bring Abyss back and just have him take out aces and eights the way he did without there being a reason. And that reason obviously has got to be a match with Bully Ray down the line. Now, yeah, the rumor is still strong that it could be Hogan and Bully Ray. And if it's for the world title, I know a lot of people will defend the fact that if it's Hogan Bully Ray and it's for the world title, but Hogan just wants to be in the world title picture, become world champion, and be able to go on and say, hey, look, I've been world champion in IWGP, I've been world champion in AWA, I've been champion in WWE, WWF, I've been champion in WCW, and now I'm champion in TNA. You know, at least he would have the honor of saying, I was champion for the 3 top promotions in history. But will that work? Will that happen? No one really knows. No one really knows. So, in my personal opinion, as soon as Abyss showed up, and we pretty much had an idea who it was going to be. It was going to be him, actually. I pretty much knew that that was the first step in the end of the Aces and Eights storyline. It's the first step towards the end of Aces and Eights. Because like I say, with TNA, a faction doesn't really last that long. A year, maybe a little more. Maybe a year and a half at the most, but a year at the most. A year is usually the most likely source, but again, like I say, a year and a half sometimes is the longest they'll go. But like I said, I don't really think Aces and Eights is going to last much longer, and Abyss returning is step 1. Abyss returning is step 1. And like I said, anything can happen between now and then. In my personal opinion, is we're going to have Bully Ray, we're going to have Abyss, we're going to have Barbed Wire, and it's going to equal Barbed Wire Massacre 3. You may not agree with that, but I believe it's going to end up in that direction. I really do. I think that's what Bound for Glory is going to be centered. That's going to be one of the main events Bound for Glory is going to be centered around. It's going to be that matchup. It's got to be that. Because we haven't seen a Barbed Wire Massacre match in years. And more importantly, it's the best way to settle something in TNA, especially with hardcore guys. Especially with hardcore wrestlers. And Abyss and Bully Ray is the perfect opportunity. I mean, we've done a Monsters Ball match already. True, you can do another Monsters Ball. That's no big deal. You could do that. Heck, you can even do a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match if you wanted to. But the thing is, I believe, heck, you can even do a 10,000 thumbtacks, match of 10,000 thumbtacks match if you want to. You can even do that. They've done it before. You can even do that. But my most likely, in fact, you know what? Here's the 3 I think is going to be the most opportunistic. The top 3 that are going to settle Bully Ray and Abyss, because I know that's what it's leaning towards. Monsters Ball, 10,000 thumbtacks, and number 1's got to be the Barbed Wire Massacre. I just feel it. And if they want to be innovative and say, hey, let's do Lethal Lockdown one-on-one, that too can work. But I believe it's going to be Barbed Wire Massacre. I really feel it's going to happen that way. And you might say, well, TNA probably won't want to do that because of what's going on nowadays, with the whole blood situation. It's once in a while, and I truly think that Bound for Glory is going to be that special occasion, no matter where Bound for Glory is being held this year. Rumor is it could be heading to San Diego. And if that's the truth, San Diego is going to be in for a very hardcore blood bath of a match. No matter which version it is, no matter what it is. No matter if it's Monsters Ball, no matter if it's no matter if it's a Monsters Ball match, no matter if it's a 10,000 thumbtack match, no matter if it's a Barbed Wire Massacre, which I think is going to be a more likely source. But again, I truly believe that's what it's leaning towards. You could say there's still a possibility for Hogan and Bully Ray, Bound for Glory that's fine. That could happen too, and I'm not denying that. But I think the most likely possibility is going to be Abyss and Bully Ray. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. Go ahead and comment below. But those are just my opinions. That's why I think, as soon as I knew it was going to be Abyss, and we saw Abyss, pretty much confirmed step one in the end of the Aces and Eights storyline. So, let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to you all later, but that's just my opinion. Peace out.